Welcome to Grand Finals here of Gym Challenge Auto number 1 here at Psycho Turtle Poison Peak, Rivera, California. I am Jesus Coronel. That is Dennis Geisler returning to the desk. We have our Grand Finalists. We saw one of them being Giovanni Costa. The other one, Brian Collins. It's a rematch, and we are not even going to have time to take care of the teams. We're going to have to rapid fire them. Gio on the Dragonite Garchomp, Among Us, Incineroar, Whimsicott, Golden Go. Brian on the Hatterene and Didi, Ursaluna, Hisui, Torkoal, Gallade, and Executor. And we're going to get underway.
Yeah, we saw this first set between these two players. The big weird interaction that kept coming up is the Dragonite ice spinnering away that Psychic terrain, because the Dragonite is Choice Band. There's not a ton of Choice Band Dragonite around nowadays, but Dragonite doesn't really want to lock into that, but it kind of has to if the terrain is up.
Well, the terrain will be up on the very first turn because Brian sends out Indeedee and Hatterene as the lead. Gio going to counter with Golden Go and Incineroar, which is super effective against Hatterene before Terra. And that's probably going to be the emphasis here. Does the Hatterene Terra here?
Yeah, and not only that, I think the big thing about this matchup here is that there's nothing that can do a ton of damage to either of these Pokemon. Like, neither of Brian's Pokemon can really damage either of Gio's Pokemon. And this is what Gio needs in order to handle the Psy-Spam part of Brian's team. The other stuff, the Gallade, the Gallade, the Ursaluna, the Torkoal, some of the other stuff will need to come out for that, but specifically for these Psychic Mons, these two basically fully handle it, and I expect Brian to want to switch something up here.
Or Terra turn 1.
Yeah. I mean, a Terra turn 1 is an option, but I think a Terra would
Wait a minute. Okay, it's Terra Water as well. Okay,
yeah.
So we do. So it will resist to make it rain from the Golden Go, but Hatterene's a little bit of a trouble here unless it protects.
I think you do it to protect this turn, yeah, and then also try to get Trick Room up for Mons in the back, because I don't think that these two are going to get the job done.
Well, here's Make It Rain coming out from this Golden Gun with Choice Bags. It will hit this Terra Water and Needy. He's only going to pick 38% damage output there. As Golden will take a special attack drop here. Incineroar U-turns the wrong slot. I can't get out of there. Trickery will go up, but I think even though you said it perfectly, like nothing really touching both these Pokemon consistently. Dazzling Gleam will be neutral to Incineroar. Psychic types immunity to Incineroar and resisted by Golden Go.
Yeah. And at this point, I think Gio can try to focus on getting these two specifically out of the way. Make sure that you don't end up in a matchup of like your Dragon types if you have them against this Hatterene. Just play this out a little on the slower side. And then whatever's in the back, you probably have stuff in the back for yourself that can deal with it.
Well, let's see what the first door presents for Brian. It will be the Gallade coming in, which has decent amount of special bulk, so we'll take a Make It Rain at -1, presumably. Here's Dazzling Gleam from the Hatterene. Decent damage to both Pokemon. It will take a bit of Life Orb recoil as well. Knockoff going to remove the Life Orb. Hatterene does survive, but another Make It Rain will knock out the Indeedee because the Golden Go did not swap out. How much damage does the Gallade take? Less than half.
Less than half, and I think crucially as well, I mean, one, this Golden Go is going to have to switch out regardless after this turn because it's not doing a lot of damage, but also Gallade has Wide Guard, and you don't want to get locked into Make It Rain against the Wide Guard. But now this is kind of an awkward spot because if you switch out, you're letting something get hit really hard by Torkoal.
It might just have to, yeah, you have to remove both these Pokemon for Gio because, Double Dragon in the bag, so...
Yeah.
They're both fine taking Eruption. I'm not sure if, Dragonite can take the Sacred Sword. I just don't think Garchomp will.
Yeah, I mean, Garchomp would certainly rather take a Sacred Sword than a Psycho Cut in Psychic Terrain, but it's more of a question of, and I don't hate a double switch here, honestly. The main thing here is try to keep as much HP as you can and try to keep Golden Go around, because Golden Go, I think, still has the ability to win this game towards the end. You just want to make sure you get rid of the Torkoal at this point.
Yeah, and to do that, you gotta get both these dragons in play here. This Torkoal is indeed Choice Specs. Both Pokemon take damage from that attack. Stickers are, unfortunately, into the Dragonites, and it will hold on at 11 HP.
Yeah, but Torkoal's still the fastest thing on the field.
For, I think, is this 1 or 2 turns? I'm pretty sure it's the last turn in Trick Room.
I believe so as well. But even still, I mean, Garchomp can protect here. Doesn't feel great to do that, but Garchomp can protect, and this Dragonite might be done. which feels bad, but I don't think the Dragonite is necessary to win. I think basically what Geo needs is to get rid of Torkoal and then let Golden Go win the game. For Brian, I think you just need to keep trying to power through this team. Like, you just kind of need to keep muscling through things, because eventually you're going to find the advantage of the team.
Yeah, and here's Dragonite swapping out for an Incineroar, which that Intimidate is not going to work on a Gallade because of the clearing mill that's going to be holding. The question just is, did Gallade go for a second Sacred Sword to that slot? Because if it doesn't, and clicks Psycho Cut into the slot, we're looking at a big trouble here for Brian, because he needs to get a second Trick Room move, and it doesn't look like he has the means to do so at the current moment. Torkoal will go first with the Eruption here on the last turn of Trick Room. His Choice Specs boosted, it's Sun boosted, it is into an Assault Vessel Incineroar, it proves to be pivotal there. Sacred Sword does read the switch in, so it will at least knock out the Incineroar, but this situation is still precarious against the Golden Go.
Yeah, and I mean, it's partly reading the switch in, but I think it's partly just...
Oh, or never mind, it was 2 turns. I miscounted. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, and that's kind of tough for Geo. Yeah, I'm not sure. You might have to double protect Garchomp, frankly. That might be your only real out, because Dragonite doesn't get to do anything. The thing is, you're not doing any damage to Torkoal. Like, this is like... This is exactly what you want with a Trick Room team with Torkoal, is being able to do serious damage to everything, having 2 pretty strong attackers out there who are both able to kind of cover for each other. I really think you have to double protect Garchomp. I think that's really the only way out of it.
Yeah, and there really is not much for Geo to do here. Oh my god.
I don't think it's insane.
No, that's not insane, like, per se. It's just like Garchomp maybe has, like... No, it has some HP. Like, you can play around with the life orb of it. So Geo's recognizing that Garchomp's the win condition, that you don't really need the Golden Go anymore, because, first of all, Terra Water indeed is still in the back. And then Gallade's going to go down to probably another Earthquake, so Garchomp's your win condition.
I mean, I agree with that to some degree, but the problem is that Gallade still has Wide Guard. And so you are gambling on... You are either gambling on Gallade not clicking Wide Guard or on Gallade clicking Wide Guard. It is your only real win condition.
Well, Eruption's going to take out both these Pokemon, so Gallade's not going to really get much going this turn. It's going to come down to Incineroar or Garchomp for Geo, and all Brian needs to do is outlast this Garchomp.
It comes down to just Garchomp. The problem is that Garchomp doesn't have a whole lot of HP, and so the 2 options are either the Gallade Wide Guards and the
wait, no, Incineroar went down. I am tripping.
Yeah. And Incineroar dropped to the Sacred Sword a moment ago.
Yeah.
But the problem is that Garchomp either Garchomp Earthquakes and Gallade Wide Guards and Garchomp loses, or Garchomp Stomping Tantrums and the other one attacks and Garchomp loses. The opposite is also true, though, where if this is not a Wide Guard, then Geo wins.
Yeah, it's going to go down to this last turn here for both these trainers. It will be a Terra Ground from this Garchomp on Geo. We saved it for this very moment.
Yeah. I mean, there weren't a lot of great moments to use the Terra before now, so I don't think this is a bad idea to not use it until now, and I think this is... You kind of have to use it now. There's no reason not to.
Alright, will this be enough? No, Wide Guard comes out! Brian's going to go down to his Terra Water indeed!
Yeah, and I don't know if that Indeedee is going to have enough HP. Torkoal gets crit, I don't think that mattered, but I don't know if the Indeedee has enough HP to take this. I think Geo might have clutched that one out.
I mean, that's the game you play with this team sometimes, you know. You think one thing's going to happen, and you're thinking like, oh, he's going to stop Tantrum. No, he just let it rip at the Earthquake.
Yeah, and I mean, that's always the thing about playing this Psy Spam, is that given that your entire team is designed around being as slow as possible, you have to manage for the fact that when you're... when you're...
Yeah, we're not going to find out, as Brian probably knows he's going down to an Earthquake anyway. Geo takes game number 1.
Yeah, but you have to always play around... I love the 2 trainer cards. You have to play around the fact that when Trick Room is over, you have a bunch of really slow Pokemon. And Garchomp is obviously pretty fast, even for, or pretty fast for this format.
It's one of the fastest Pokemon in a format!
Yeah, it's pretty fast for this format. Which then means that Brian has nothing that really comes close to it in terms of speed. except for the Executor, I guess, with the chlorophyll. But like in general,
can't believe Parker Robinson really inspired a whole lot of people to run Executor.
Mm-hmm.
And, first it was Wolf with the Harvest set on the Executor like a decade ago and such. Now it's being revolutionized as a expanding force user.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but in general, you can't really play around these. Brian has to end these games faster, basically. And it was a good job by Geo kind of seeing that and saying, okay, yeah, I do win this near the end. And frankly, Brian very much could have won that game. One different click of the wide guard on Gallade, and Brian had that game won. So it'll probably come down to something similar in Game 2. I think I don't disagree with Brian avoiding the Executor, avoiding the kind of fast mode of this team. Although I don't necessarily know about the Hatterene. I don't know if the Hatterene is providing all that much.
Well, we get a repeat lead from Brian. It's going to be that Indeedee plus the Hatterene from Brian. It will be Geo with a different lead this time, Incineroar Gold and Go.
No, it's the same lead as Game 1, I believe, yeah.
Why am I losing brain cells today?
It's tough. You had to play through 5 rounds. I've just had to look at these silly little guys. I mean, same thoughts as before. These Pokemon, like Geo's Pokemon, do not take any damage to Brian's Pokemon. Their goal right now is to get Hatterene off of the field to let the Dragon types, presumably the Dragon types in the back, clean up the rest of this match. And so, I mean, we're looking at this basically the same as we looked at Game 1.
Yeah, it also just comes down to this big play from Geo, which is a big make it rain. For the first turn, it was a protect Trick Room, protect from the Hatterene specifically, and a Terra Water Furnace and Needy. I don't know if it's going to happen again, or if we're going to get a different sequential order from both the Psychic Pokemon, as Incineroar switches for Garchomp.
That's definitely a change.
Yeah, it is, and there's Geoterra going off on the Golden Go for Steel.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no! Well, at the very least, no damage was taken. At the very least. Yeah, again, at the fortunate part, no one took damage, so we can just restart, I believe.
Yeah, the ruling is a start over of that one there. So we will take just a minute to get that game reset here.
Now imagine if that went off before. I mean, after the damage, though. That's what
yeah, it would have been interesting to see what that would have done, but especially, I mean, we don't know if Indeedee wanted to Terra, we don't know if Hatterene wanted to protect or anything along those lines. So still a lot of questions as to where that part of the game is gonna go.
Right, now we actually have time to think about this matchup for a little bit for this game number 2.
Mm-hmm.
It was the same leads. Geo went for an aggressive play with that Terra Steel Make It Rain, but we do not know what Brian did.
We don't. And I mean, yeah, we do know what Geo decided to go for in that turn. Although we know that Brian didn't switch anything. And frankly, I can't imagine you would leave Hatterene out without Terastallizing or protecting or anything like that.
I was going to say the same thing. I don't think you just leave it out there and just fall to a Make It Rain.
Definitely dropped to Make It Rain. That's for sure. And that's the thing for Geo especially, because the way Geo likes to play it is that, like, Terra Steel, Choice Specs, Make It Rain does, like, a ton of damage the first time, but then also the second time it does, like, because you have so many boosts, even at -1, you're doing a ton of damage. Like, you're doing a normal Golden Go Make It Rain amount of damage, which is a lot of damage. And that's kind of why Geo likes doing it, is to be able to double up on it. But Brian has the ability to then say, no, actually, and have Wide Guard as an option to stop Golden Go from doing that.
Problem with that specifically was because there was a point in Ephesus that Brian did not lead Gallade in either game. He preferred to have it in the back. So it's not that you really can't threaten it. It was more so like getting it in position. And as we're going to get a repeat of this game 1 lead between Indeedee and Hatterene and Incineroar Golden Go, do we see more or less the same?
Yeah, I gotta imagine, like, I don't know. I really am not sure where they're going to decide to go with this, because Gio wanted to make a really aggressive posture in that game too, and I don't know if he's going to aggressively posture in the same way.
I think it's likely that I mean, judging by that Terra Steel Mega Rain he wanted to go for, it's probably a yes that he wanted to go aggressive. Because like, even if there's a Terra Water somewhere, something's going to take at least half damage. I think that was going to be the logic here from Gio.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think 2 Terra Steel Make It Rains back to back.
Oh, wait a minute, we got to restart. Okay, so it's a full-on game restart. Pardon me. It's going to be a double Dragon Leaf of Garchomp and Dragonite for Gio this time. In the face of fairies, but at the same time, Hatterene's not really in the best spot to take an Earthquake.
Yeah, actually.
And here comes that Terra Ground Earthquake, I believe.
I like this a lot more, actually, from Gio. Like, as much as those other two don't take any damage against these two, the dragons are just able to unload a lot of damage, and you're not actually afraid of what they're going to do turn 1, of what Brian's Pokemon is going to do turn 1.
Well, Brian's going to Terra something. I believe this might be...
Something's got a Terra Water.
It's a needy going to Terra Water.
I mean, that's fine. It takes less damage to some stuff. I guess I'm mostly curious how much this Earthquake does.
But there's Follow Me coming out. So potentially will redirect the Dragonite, because Dragonite only has single target attacks. It won't redirect this Earthquake, though. It will be flying away from this Garchomp. Here, Dragonite, excuse me. Garchomp goes for this Earthquake at Terra Ground Boost with the Life Orb. Not enough to knock out either Pokemon quite yet. But Ice Spider's going to remove the terrain, and just as Hatterene's going to have a chance to go for this Trick Room pretty safely, it cannot go for Expanding Force.
Mm-hmm.
Or it will, but it won't do as much damage as it would have liked. Meaning, it's either locked with Dazzling Gleam, or Indeed's going to have to help it out.
Yeah, and the Trick Room's active, but especially considering that the Garchomp was able to Terrastalize, this is a very good spot for Gio, because even a Dazzling Gleam is not going to knock you out. And you have a basically, I mean, for Gio, you basically have a free Earthquake. I'm not too surprised. Brian wants to get the terrain back up eventually. The problem is that Gallade is going to take a bunch of damage switching in, but you kind of have to accept that as what's going to happen this game. Something has to take a bunch of damage switching in here.
Yeah, this Incineroar is going to come in here to replace the Dragonite for Gio.
That's a really nice switch in.
Yeah, and there's the Intimidate. Unfortunately, not working on that Clear Amulet that the Gallade's holding. Dazzling Gleam takes Garchomp below half HP. Stomping Tantrum comes out. I believe this is going to the Gallade slot. It's, again, emphasis and point. Is the physical defense is not the greatest, so it survives!
And I actually kind of like that play, because now Incineroar doesn't have to... there are a lot of things that Brian can do, or excuse me, that Gio can do right now. Incineroar could have tried going for a fake out, frankly, because even if it indeed switches in, like, the worst thing that happens the turn.
Garchomp protects, and well, and when the Golden Go switches in for the Incineroar, catch a Sacred Sword in that slot. Dazzling Gleam comes out once again from this Hatterene. Golden Go sticks a lot more better than the Incineroar could. Yeah, it takes like 40 HP damage total, but Hatterene's on a ticking time clock. Sacred Sword sniffed out.
Yeah. And that's a really good spot for Gio to be in, because you can just start clicking Make It Rain and... Or, no, you start clicking Shadow Ball, actually. You don't want to let yourself get wide guarded, even though it's not the biggest deal in the world in this case. And you'll probably get away with it if you do. I still think you probably don't go too aggressive with it. Just click the Shadow Balls. Either the last one's going to be Torkoal, and it does not matter what Golden Go is doing out here, or the last Pokemon is... I mean, it's probably not going to be Exeggutor, or the last Pokemon is Ursaluna, but...
Yeah, but we're not going to get really that much answers immediately out of Brian here. Another Intimidate drops, but unfortunately, again, that Clear Amulet is not going to do much to this Gallade here. Dazzling Gleam does do half to both Pokemon. Hatterene, unfortunately, goes down to Life Orb Recoil.
Yeah, that's the thing as well, is that one more Dazzling Gleam was going to drop that Hatterene, so you can Shadow Ball here. And
Psycho Cut into the Golden Go? Not enough.
That's the Make It Rain.
Yeah, that's the Make It Rain. Down goes Gallade. And it's down to an Indeedee and one last Pokemon from Brian with one turn to Trick Room left.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like Gio basically has this locked up at this point, especially, I mean... There is the Ndidi, and Ndidi has like basically no HP remaining.
And Torkoal's the last one.
And it is Torkoal, which makes sense, and I don't think this is awful, but I
think you're subjected to going for Heat Wave, though, unless, of course... no, there's still a guard jump in the back. I think this game's about wrapped up for Geo.
I think it is, but I do think you Heat Wave, especially because I think your best out might actually be Burns, rather than anything else. I'm also not sure if this is the last turn of Trick Room or if there's one more after.
Pretty sure just one more.
Because, yeah, I mean, it's not a terrible, like... Torkoal will probably knock out both these Pokemon in turn. It'll be close on the Incineroar. It might not get the Incineroar. Because the thing is, I don't know if you can Eruption. Because I think that your best chance of winning is actually getting the Dragonite with Heat Wave.
Oh, yeah, there's Eruption coming out from this Toy Specs. Torkoal, not another knock on the Incineroar, so it might get one more attack off before this Ndidi can actually pull off a... No, it can't damage the Incineroar.
Can't even damage it, so I think that's it.
Oh, no, Cell targets the Torkoal.
What?
Thumbs up for Brian. Here's the knockoff. I think that's going to be the writing on the wall. Hurt by the Rocky Helmet as well, so it's a one-on-one trade, but I think that's perfect for Geo.
I think that's actually, like, it is, like, technically perfect for Geo. I think that's a very bizarre...
I think Brian drew the white flag.
I think Brian, yeah, and okay, Trick Room was done, so it didn't matter too much anyways, because they were absolutely going to handle handle Torkoal after this turn. Garchomp is absolutely finishing it with the Earthquake right here.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Brian, although he beat him in round number 4, it is unfortunately Geo who got the better of Brian here, as he is moments away, and the battle is canceled. There you go, Giovanni Costa back on top for another Gym Challenge victory, and the chair falls on top of that.
I mean, it feels like we come to this every week or every couple of weeks that we keep coming back to this. Is that yeah, Geo really just is a fantastic player, and
yeah, and
so hard to beat him.
In every gym challenge that he's participated in his season, he's won.
Yeah. I remember somebody talking about him being on like a 20-something game winning streak going into Louisville, like...
And unfortunately, that win streak was snapped today.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, even then, like, even when he does lose games at certain points, he still is able to make it happen in Top Cut, and still is able to win these challenges.
Yeah, speaking of challenges, we'll be back here next week on the 27th for our second week challenge here for the autumn season. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be here for reasons I won't be able to stay here publicly, but I can guarantee you it will be a nice time for you trainers, especially with Halloween week coming up.
Be sure to show up. It's going to be great.
Yeah, we'll be back with you next week for our Halloween edition of the Gym Challenge for autumn, and we will see you guys next time.